Okay guys, I just got off the phone with Todd, Eros there. I was talking to him about his gear thing, so I wanted to make this little kind of video help explain things a little better. We were talking about the gear doors not wanting to close, and we're wanting to blow open during takeoff, or kind of hang open during takeoff and landing and possibly jamming the gear. This may help you a little bit, Todd. This is what we were talking about, help to visualize a little better. I've got the wing just plugged in here with the gear, so I don't have the gear doors into the sequencer, so I'll operate them manually, and I'll let you show you what I was talking about. This is some of the things that I did, guys. Okay, keep in mind that I've already swapped over to the E-Flight retracts, which I love with the stock struts, but one of the things that will help close the gear doors a little better is, and I'll zoom in here on it, is if you noticed in your servos, the stock servo just has the little flat washer screws that are holding it in, and it actually has some free plate, wants to wiggle up and down. This allows the door not to want to shut completely when that servo is moving up and down and moving the linkage. I added some extra washers. See if we can do this with focus here. It's not wanting to focus too well. Back out here again. You'll see that I added some extra washers on top of my servos here to help put pressure on them to hold them in place. I didn't want to glue these in because I still want to be able to remove them. I also changed out the stock servos that were in here that were just standard 9G nylon servos, and I'm using a pair of Hobby King 929 Metal Gear servos. Fairly cheap, but they have a little more torque, so they tend to want to pull the doors closed a little tighter and have less option to strip them out. Some of the reasons for doing that is, in order to mount this wing on the airplane, you have to actually manually open these doors if they're closed in order to put these screws in right here, the front screws. So that means that you're manually opening and closing against a nylon servo, which is eventually going to strip it out or break it. These Metal Gear servos are a little more resistant to that, since you do have to do that operation when you're doing the first assembly, before your flight during the day. And you'll notice this one still has a little wiggle in it. A lot of that's because of the slop in the hole in the arm. I may need to change my arm and take some of that slop out, but that's another thing that'll cause the door. But if you'll also notice, and I had mentioned this earlier, I actually took a heat gun and I heated these up and bent them into an elliptical shape, so that the forward lip actually has more of an arc to it, so that when it is closed, it actually closes down tighter on the lip. I noticed that the stock ones, if you haven't modified them, will tend to want to hang open, and of course then if it's got some sag in the servo, it'll want to pop open. That'll allow air to get up underneath there and want to draw this door open while it's in flight, especially if you're flying hard, you're watt. We've done the prop mod and so forth, and it's causing part of the gear door jam. I actually put a little more of a bow into this in order to seal this up, so that when it's down tighter, when it comes down, it'll actually, right here, this will allow the airflow to go up and over it and actually put pressure on this door to hold it. The second reason is it'll actually give more clearance for the wheel. Excuse me. I'll close the wheel and show you what I'm talking about here. With the wheel down, you need to play with your position on here. Sometimes it'll be sticking up right here in the back, and in the unmodified situation, the wheel will actually be wanting to rub against the door when it's closed, which prevents it from wanting to close all the way. And you can see where I've heated mine up. You can actually see some of the bend marks from the molded in right here. So that it closes down tighter, it actually relieves up against that wheel. So now it's sitting on top of that wheel like this instead of down flush on it, putting pressure against it, which is what's probably causing some of the jam when the wheel immediately wants to come loose before the gear door has a chance to completely come open, and causes a little bit of that jam. Plus the air getting underneath this, when it's flat, acts like a air sail and wants to blow it open. So therefore it'll sit there and hang like this while it's in flight, and you can see it on some of the videos we've done where the gear door is hanging. And I only did it to the main gear doors and a little bit to the wheel skirt fairings, since they close pretty tight and air can't get underneath them, plus the wheel strut's kind of holding them tight. But this right here, it will create that little arc. And Todd, that's kind of what I was talking to you about. But you can't see it in the air. It's hardly noticeable. It's only noticeable on the ground where they actually don't, I'll push this down, don't sit down where they're like this. Mine has a bigger bow into it. Fits more comfortably over the wheel with it being down in the wheel well. And at the same time, allows the air to flow up and over this, and actually in flight at any airspeed. I don't have the gear doors wanting to feel like they're coming open because the air is flowing over it, and at the same time it's preventing it from getting underneath of it and wanting it to blow up and blow the gear door open. That'll help quite a bit there. 3 little mods. Add some extra washers, larger washers here, and you may have to cut that one there in the back, cut a flat spot on it since it's so close to that wall, to help hold that servo down tighter so that it doesn't want to move. Second is change that servo out for a metal geared servo, or at least a servo that's got more torque. I would recommend a metal geared servo just since there's a manual operation where you have to open and close these doors so many times in order to get to these wing bolts to attach and unattach the wing. Tighten up the linkage, and thirdly, put a little bow with a heat gun in this door. These things come off real easy. Just disconnect all your linkage. Whoops. Well, it looks like mine finally gave out there. Put a little screwdriver in there and pop that loose right there. Off comes the gear door. That'll help the gear door situation dramatically. This way, let me straighten this back up, when they're open, they'll actually kind of look like that. Okay, I hope that helped, guys.